Hello, everyone, and welcome back to VectoScalar Tech Talk show. In this episode, our guest speaker, Rajendran Dandapani, is going to cover insights about building a SaaS company and managing tech talent at scale. Welcome, Rajendran, to our show.
Namaste. Thanks a lot for this opportunity. It's always really fun interacting with you, Vikas.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And before I share further details, let me introduce you to Rajendran. Rajendran, a founding member of Zoho Corporation, is a business solution evangelist. His vast expertise in conceiving and nurturing creative concepts into full-fledged software application and his role as a president at Zoho School of Learning, Zoho's ongoing experiment in alternative education, make him such a sought-after speaker and panelist. Inspired by the golden age of Apple under Steve Jobs, he believes in inspiring to be insanely great at whatever he and his team takes on. Outside of work, he is a omnivorous reader and shares his hard-earned experience from the School of Hard Knocks through his YouTube channel titled Rajendran Dandapani Presents. That's so many things you are doing, Rajendran. That's so
Thank you.
interesting.
But if you notice, they're all connected with each other because my aim is to foster creativity and the hard-working ethic in the next generation of employees at Zoho Corp and youngsters around the world. I think a good message is to be delivered, and we have to do our best so that they don't make the same mistakes we did.
That's so true. And I was looking at that you dropped out of college. I think nowadays it is a fad to getting drop out of college. But how are things at your end? Like when you did that, what was the response from the family members? How was it?
Right. Before that, I need to tell you that this
Yeah.
is probably the seventh or eighth time I'm getting to share what happened really in a live video environment. And psychologists say whenever you tell a story and recall a memory, the story slightly changes. It is probably in its seventh or eighth avatar, what I'm telling you
Wow.
now.
Okay.
Only those who know about it really know about it. But clarification, I wasn't a dropout. A dropout
Okay.
is somebody who, like Bill Gates, like Mark Zuckerberg, they are people who are simply amazing. They have a great idea, they have amazing capability. They see college as a waste of time, and they try to strike the iron while it is hot and say, I'm dropping out because I have more interesting, more important work to do.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, was a kick out. I was kicked out of college. I got into IIT after a prolonged hard work and thought I will do a really good job inside. But at electronics, I was at IIT Madras studying electronics. And the electronics department, I didn't get enough opportunity to indulge in my newfound passion and love for programming, for software. And
Okay.
so I started spending a lot of time in software, developing, building games and other utilities. And I lost track of what I was there in IIT for. So I was kicked out after a warning. They asked me to leave. So there is a huge difference between these two. And I don't want to be considered a dropout in that exalted group of people who drop out and do something amazing. I had to learn it the hard way. I struggled. It was a very long struggle. And some of I'm happy my memory is not very good, because if I were to recall all the difficulties I went through during that time, I may not be as cheerful as you see me now. But happy ending. I found my calling. I met my future CEO. I was probably able to impress him and show what I was capable of. And he gave me a good opportunity, even though I didn't have a degree. And the rest, as they say, is history. Not able to hear you. Or you struck speechless by my horror story.
That must be the case. Now I think I must be audible.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was saying that I can still see so many synergies between the stories of the stalwarts and what happened to you. Though it was that institution kicked you out. Having said that, I think the journey was same, that you were exploring electronics the way you wanted to be, the ideal nature. You don't want to be just that looking after cracking the exam or just completing the degree and going out of the college, right?
You could say that looking back, hind vision is 2020, they say. But there are people out there even today struggling, wondering what their calling is, and feeling kind of aimless and rudderless. And I have only one message to give you: motor on, keep the faith. Because if you can find out what you're passionate about, if you can understand that this is something I will do even if I am not paid for it, even if I am not going to be evaluated for it, even if I'm not working for a degree, towards a degree for it, I still want to do it on a lazy Sunday afternoon, 2 days after the exam. This is the book I go back to, this is the lab I go
Mhm.
back to, this is the work I do. That is your passion, intrinsic motivation, they say. So if you can capture that spark, nurture it, come what may. That is my recommendation.
Okay, and that makes a very valid recommendation, and I think it's a timeless recommendation, that finding your passion, something that you want to work with. So, as it is mentioned in your profile that you were the initial one of the initial team member who were there when Zoho was started. So, what was the size of Zoho when it was started and when you joined the company?
Yeah, I was employee number 7 when we started it. It was in the first floor of a very small 2 BHK apartment in Chennai, in a suburb of Chennai. And we had a dial up internet connection. So you can understand where we are today as a prominent cloud company to a company that went online only 2 hours a day, right? Way back in 96, 97. And so much has changed, but so much continue to remain the same. The culture, the way we work, the hierarchy less nature of the team, the permission that we had to experiment and make mistakes and learn from them, the disregard we had always for formal education and degrees, and the prominence we gave to the ability the person demonstrated, all those have remained the same, thankfully.
And I think that's the DNA of product based companies, at least, that they spend more and focuses more on the innovation part, the expertise part, instead of the degree part. And that, I think, that's the DNA of probably what is happening in western part of the world with most of the product based companies. And it is so interesting, I would add to that, that in our previous episode of VectoScalar Tech Talk, we had guest speaker as Bharat Kalyanram, and he actually mentioned that one of the inspiring company that came from India, the product company, is Zoho,
Oh,
and you're part of that legacy. So tell me, I think the kind of words that nowadays it are the common ones, product based companies or a SaaS company, right? But Zoho, what were the initial challenges that time you joined the company? India was not having a product development type of environment. So, what were your challenges, that things
yeah.
that you saw there?
So we didn't have a Zoho to look up to. We didn't have a playbook. We didn't have too many venture capitalists waiting in the wings,
Right.
wanting to invest. We didn't have a government which was so forward thinking and so encouraging of startups. We didn't have an ecosystem. A lot of companies that you can buy from, sell from, cross vendors. That relationship wasn't there. The most important IT companies at that time were projects companies doing work for multinational organizations. We call it headless work or signatureless work. So basically, you write some code, you hand it over, and you can't even put your name on it. That was
Hmm.
the distinction that my CEO tried to draw, Sridhar Vembu and his younger brother Kumar Vembu. They said, what can we do sitting here in India that we can be proud of attaching our name to? That's how it started. And we looked around, we felt that we were software engineers. We had a friends network that we could tap from. They were software engineers too. 2 became 7, 7 became 15, and suddenly we had some good work going.
Okay. Okay. So that's itself a very inspiring story that in those days when that ecosystem was not there, nowadays everybody is talking about building a startup, but when that ecosystem was not there. So what were the things that you learned that time which are still relevant and you still see that so many product companies which are founding nowadays, startup which are coming that are coming up are not following those fundamentals? What are those fundamentals which you think should be the first one to set before building any company?
So let me rewind a bit
Yeah.
though. You talked about challenges, what
Yeah.
challenges we faced. So
Yes.
if you ask any, that's a timeless point by
Yeah.
itself. Because if you ask a company today, it may say resource and talent is hard to find. We know resource and talent was very hard to find. Okay. And some of the frameworks and technologies that we need to scale our application, VectoScalar, for example,
Yeah.
they simply didn't exist or they were too costly to afford. So very early in the game, we decided we will build the stuff ourselves. We embraced open source. Nobody in our company even had a MS Office subscription. Okay, so all the PowerPoint and Writer and Word and Excel, all of them were out the window. We had to do with whatever we could scrounge from the internet, free, open source, and we learned a lot. We learned what frugality was, living within our means, ensuring we have never taken a loan, touch wood, in 27 years of our existence, we have never taken a loan. That is something creditable. And that would mean we never grew very fast. A sudden injection of steroidal muscle power wasn't ever there. We always had a few more ideas than we had people for. Always. So always we had to say no to some of the ideas because some of the other ideas were the important trends of the time and we had to jump on them and surf that particular way. So these were things. Even today, if you ask a founder, if you ask a CEO of a small or a medium sized company, they will say the same reasons, the same challenges. So even when so much changes, some of the pillars: don't borrow money, right? Don't live beyond your means. We moved out to the outskirts of the city very early. We have never been in a steel and glass megalith building like you see in Bengaluru or Mumbai or Delhi. We have never been. In San Francisco, we don't have an office. That is how we have always operated. In Japan, our office is not in Tokyo. Yeah. So that's living within our means. And then this verticalization, the deep vertical integration. What can we build? We can build software that will run on a browser. Who builds the browser? Can we build our own browser? What does the browser run on? It runs on an operating system. Who builds the operating system? Can we have our own flavor of an operating system that is tuned for delivering SaaS applications in scale? Where do the operating systems sit? In a data center? Can we operate our own data center rather than renting renting servers, and being dependent on some other scalable elastic architecture? Can we create our own architecture by just renting square feet of space? Can we build software that will monitor the temperature, pressure, security, firewall, log analysis of the data and traffic coming into and going out of our data centers? So when we started looking at it as we are software powerhouses, there is nothing that we can't do in the realm of software. Why should we pay so much more when we can do it ourselves? Yes, it may not be up to snuff on version 1. Version 2 may be just getting started. Version 5 may be on par, but version 7 will be a world beater. So, this stamina, this readiness to wait and watch, we saw that even with our own people, they were ready for the long game. Sridhar often says, my CEO Sridhar Vembu
Yeah.
often says, when people ask me what my exit strategy is, Most venture capitalists have that term, exit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When they say exit strategy, I say my exit strategy is death. I will continue working on this because this is what I am here for. I'm not here for the money. Money and short term benefits and making billionaires out of my employees is a non goal, he says. It's a non goal. If by chance that happens along the way, well and good. That's a bonus. But what is the goal? Rural upliftment is a goal. Research and development indigenously done in India is a goal. The beauty is it has always been so. Today, we have a platform to stand and talk about it. But 27 years ago, we had taken a call. We will depend on Linux and not on Microsoft Windows. We will run it on Java, not on any paid software. So when we take these decisions, we are trying to be self-sufficient. We are trying to be within our means. We are trying to look at it from, I am a technology company. I am not a software company. When I call myself a technology company, I must be able to monitor the temperature in the data center where my data sits, all the way up to a green button on which a mouse is hovering on the user's browser. Everywhere, from the bottommost to the higher, topmost layer. Right? If we can observe that, then we become a technology company.
That's a very inspiring story. I must say that today, listening to Sridhar Vembu giving the inspiring talk, it seems like that when you have so much in your bank and you are such owning such a large company, it's easier to say. But listening to you, it is quite clear that he has that attitude even when the things were just starting and things were not there to that level. And
And
so it's
let's not,
mostly the attitude. It's not just
yeah,
that after having the resources, he's thinking like that.
yeah. So let me also clarify, this is not something that we magically took out of a hat. That is our own. This was what? It has been around since 1980s, I think. Microsoft made it famous. A three-part, three-phase entry into the market. They said triple E, they called it. They said embrace, enhance, extinguish or exterminate. That was Microsoft's approach. They will not be the first to the market, but they will embrace that standard. They will coexist with it, and then they will add an enhancement, make it something special. And then they will be so good at it and so prevalent and popular that the other company is extinguished. Right? They may be harsh terms to use, but what is business other than civilized war? It is war. You are here to defeat the enemy. That is what business is. The world of business is. When you market, you're basically going to war. You are fighting for that user's eyeballs and eventually the user's purse. That's what you're fighting for. Let's not think that we are philanthropic. We want to make the world a better place. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because when we are going into the market and then there are other products, you have to become better version of them. That's why customer will make the choice, and especially when customer is having so many choices. Now, uh, during our previous conversation, you also talked about building for the long game. So, what's that idea behind this thing?
So the long game, one example I told you is it is not to make some quick money, show that we are profitable and sell and become a serial entrepreneur or buy a beautiful cottage near a beach and cool your heels. That's never the goal. We are here for the long game. We are looking for continuous improvement. Kaizen, they call it, the
Yeah,
Japanese term.
yeah, Kaizen.
Continuously improve. Keep looking at wabi sabi. It is always impermanent. Whatever we are doing is always impermanent. It is incomplete and it is imperfect. Impermanent, incomplete, imperfect, and we are continuously in motion. And when you look at it from that lens, anything you do is for the long game. Yeah. So many of our employees, the newcomers who join us, they already understand that Zoho is a company that is not going to give you an ESOP, probably. It is not a company that is going to give you an opportunity to settle abroad for 2 years, multiple years, do some on site work, and earn a lot of money and come back. So these are things that are already knocked off, and hence Sridhar calls it self selection. So even without we advertising for a particular kind of person, over time, the kind of employees that this company has attracted has been self-selected into people who are already sold on the idea, the dream Sridhar has of creating a company that we can be proud of sitting here in India. That line, who said you need to be in Silicon Valley to build a high tech company or to build a high tech product? That line, it used to be outlandish once upon a time.
Yeah.
Today, I am happy Zoho is not the only company that can say that. Sitting in Trichy, I can build a product, says another company. Sitting in
Yes.
Tenkasi, I can build a product, says Zoho. So I'm happy that this line is no longer an outlandish pipe dream. Yeah? So that's what I mean by the long game. When I say the long game, we're not looking for instant results. We're not looking for quarter by quarter improvement. Take Zoho Schools itself, for example. It is a 19-year
Okay. Yeah.
investment that we have done. And every year we look back, we feel that we have achieved a lot. And then we look forward and we see that there is so much yet to do. And we wonder if we were owned by a large conglomerate, or if we had a public stock listing, or if we had a venture capital investment, would we have had the time to perform all the experiments, make all the wrong turns, and still keep doing it? See, I said Zoho has never taken a loan. Zoho has never had a layoff, not a single time. These are things that are side effects and beneficial results because of philosophies that we have put in place and cemented and nailed down. And it
Okay.
doesn't mean that we never make mistakes. We have had so many wrong turns. Zoho Mail, one of our most famous products today,
Yeah.
started as a web based interface for installed mail. Okay,
Oh.
that's how we started. And then over time, we created a mail server, and we worked with all the standard published protocols, and we made it a bulletproof industry standard mail. But when scaling became a big question, how are we going to scale to 100 million users? Where are we going to store the data? What firewall are we going to use? How are we going to restrict spam? 15, 20 different experiments. We keep running them. There is a parallel mirror image of it inside our company. We keep testing. And then, if you're seeing 55 products out there in Zoho.com, we actually have had 205 products.
Oh.
What you see is those that are
What
left
one?
standing after all the internal commotion, after all the internal the friendly fights and the war that have happened inside. That's what you see in the outside. That's what I mean by the long game.
Okay, that's so interesting. And before I move to the next question, it is for the viewers. I'm sure you viewers, you are all equally excited as I am getting listening to the stories of building the initial stage SaaS company called Zoho. Whenever you have any question, you can type in the comment box below, and I'll be taking up those questions towards the end with Rajendran. Now, Rajendran, uh, I'm myself a user of Zoho One, and so I am exposed to the multiple tools that Zoho offers. Now, my question is that when nowadays somebody is building a company, people are using the term of MVP. That first, sell that product. Yeah. So
Using the
people
term, what term?
MVP, minimum viable product.
MVP. Yes, yes.
Yes. So people are talking about that just build one product, solve one problem, and build that MVP. And unless you have that MVP, don't go out in the market with that kind of mindset. And where the other mindset is offer all kind of solution and then see what works at the end. So what do you think for a company which is just starting, probably with 3 4 team members, what approach is best? Just wait for one MVP to work, or go out in the market, start building multiple products and see what works?
Yeah. First of all, disclaimer.
Yeah.
Sridhar, our CEO, has very often said, um, he I'll go even further. There is a famous proverb that says, there is only one beautiful child in this world, and every mother has it. Okay. So Sridhar often says that, there is my philosophy, that is Zoho's philosophy, and it is bound to work because we have been succeeding all these years. But for every philosophy that succeeds, there is, just like Newton's third law, there is an equal and opposite philosophy that will also be succeeding somewhere else on earth.
Yeah.
So let's get that disclaimer very clearly on the table. Somewhere somebody in Israel is laughing at us when we are talking this. Because
Mm.
for them, something completely diametrically opposite worked and is continuing to work.
Yeah.
Somebody in South America is laughing at us. Let's have that respect and humility.
Yes.
But now coming to what really works, should it be the MVP approach or should we just keep building? Um, let's understand first that inside Zoho, there are 100 companies.
Mm, yeah.
Zoho continues to operate today as it operated way back in the 2 BHK apartment. We are 100 different companies with 100 different microcultures. Yes, we have the benefit of banking on Zoho's central architecture, scalable central architecture for security, for identity and access management. And of course, we don't have to worry about tomorrow's lunch. Zoho
Yeah.
takes care of it. But the culture, the deadlines, the way we are going to roll the plan out, the decisions we take about advertising dollars, what are we going to spend it on, the decisions we take about going to an event or spending it on Google Ads or deciding whether to do an integration with a third party or not, is completely left to the person running that product. That
Okay.
autonomy is is probably what allowed us to come up with so many products in such a short time. 60 products in 25 years is something creditable, I would say. And particularly the
Yes.
last few years, it's been one hell of a lot of products that have come out. And whenever we talk about bringing a product out, it is identifying a customer's need. And to
Mm.
identify that, you either have to just first go meet people, understand, even before you have a product, understand. That's what Seth Godin says. Come up with a story. You need to have a story to tell and go looking around in the marketplace to those who vibe with your story, who even
Okay.
have the interest in listening to your story. And in that, narrow it down further to those who show interest in your story enough that they will tell the story to somebody else. That is how you recruit your first group of users. So once you recruit them, use them to co build and co create the product. That is the current trend today. If you have an idea, don't immediately get down to the garage and start coding it out. Probably chat gpt can do it faster than you. What you need to do is meet people, find out that niche market. It is okay if 9 out of 10 people don't even relate to your idea, but you have that one person. Find out that 1 billion people out there who are like that one person, and that's where you start the journey. The sooner you bring it out, the sooner you deliver the baby, the first version, and not just the product but also the process.
Okay.
These days the idea is to bring the human touch. What was the thought process behind the product that you see? Because many times we see pivots. The first
Yes.
product is nothing, is actually thrown out. The second, the third, the fifth product is what finally wins. But
Yes.
why does that really happen? It is because the creator not only shared the product, but the thought process behind the product, what went in, what were the ingredients, what were the assumptions. And when that is shared openly, nakedly, with great humility and with a readiness to listen, the customer understands, okay, here is somebody who is genuine. I will spend time. I will correct you. I will help you. I need this little thing. And for a very long time, I was thinking I was the only person in the world who needed it. Here is you. Thanks a lot. Now let us build it together. And they are the early adopters in that famous curve. And if you can get those early adopters, the
Yeah.
empire starts rolling, is my understanding.
That's a very insightful understanding because the way you use the word recruit user, that itself conveys a lot. It's not about recruiting the team members, recruiting the
Correct.
users. And also, I could see so much similarity with, as a practitioner of design thinking myself, design thinking, the human centered innovation that we talk about, double diamond approach. I think we are talking the same thing, though probably the time that you adopted that approach, the nomenclature was not of design thinking, but the
Yes.
approach is same, that don't design for everyone, design for one person, that if that product work for that one person, it will work for others. In the same line, I see a question coming up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, one little clarification here before we go to the question.
Yeah.
See, if we were Mark Zuckerberg and we were building Facebook, uh, we may have had hundreds of users in our hundreds of developers in our company building a social network, which will be a distraction to our work, right? So I used to wonder all these gaming companies when they build software, when the CEO comes around and sees one of the employees playing a game, what will they think? Is the guy wasting time, or is the guy doing play testing, or is the person learning something from competition? I used to wonder. See, thankfully, Zoho's way of work is all about productivity. Zoho runs on Zoho. So when there is during COVID, when we had to work remotely, all of us were at our homes. We were building our next generation video conferencing tool,
Yeah.
and we ran it on Zoho. We didn't subscribe to Zoom. We ran it on Zoho. So every day we cursed ourselves. Why are we not spending on Zoom? But every day, end of the day, we thanked ourselves because one day of video conferencing, hundreds of times across thousands of people, strengthened our software. So
Hmm.
even Facebook cannot claim something like that. Here, 16,000 users inside Zoho, 16,000 employees use 16,000 users. I become 16,000 users and use
Users.
those 65 apps. And hence, before even 6 months before you even get to know about a product, we have already been using it. We have
Yeah, right.
tested it. So that's one of the benefits of being Zoho, because Zoho is in that domain of personal collaborative group productivity. So yeah, let's
Definitely. So I'll come back to the questions. So
uh,
Mohan Vellu Ramaswamy said, when nobody could see what can become the future, how did Zoho see it? Or they took whatever they thought of it and made it to success?
yeah. So I will want to pop the balloon here. Let's be very clear. Nobody can see the future. Not even Sridhar Vembu will claim that he knew what was coming. I predicted and I moved boldly towards it when everybody else around me was shy or afraid. No, that is not how successes are actually made, according to me, in my opinion. In my opinion, we are all groping, we are all blind, we are all searching. There is a lot of luck involved, right time in the right place involved. Stamina, yes, we stuck to it. Good cultural and philosophical decisions we took, not to do some stuff, to do some stuff, to play the waiting game, to not ever do evil. That's a great decision. We said our products will be free. There will be a free version of our product. We will not go for ad dollars. They will not sell or share user data ever. Long before GDPR came along, we were already GDPR compliant. Think about that. Why? Because GDPR is not pulled out from some alien spaceship circling moon. GDPR is common sense. GDPR is digital birthright.
Yeah.
When you look at it as a digital birthright, Sridhar and the people who were around him during that time, they said every citizen in the world who uses Zoho deserves the digital birthright, which is my data sits only with me. It's not shared without my permission. I need the authority to delete my data whenever I feel like I want to move. Whenever I feel like I want to move to some other service, you should be able to provide me migration facility. These are all birthrights. We somehow, somewhere along the way, forgot all this in our greed, in our desire to make quick money and do it fast. We left these. And then suddenly now every website is popping up saying accept cookie, accept cookie. Okay, that's the problem. Go back to common sense. So Mohanavelu, the answer for you is it's not as if we saw something and others didn't see. All of us realized that we were in some amazing time. Some of us went to perform something, a niche perhaps. Others said, hey, you are looking at doing something in the restaurant business. You are trying to do something in the library business. You are trying to do something in the medical hardware business. But all of you need to collaborate. All of you need to come together virtually, remotely from different geographies across time zones. All of you need to share documents securely. All of you need some communication methodologies. Let me provide you that layer, that glue, that thing that connects you all. That famous story about how in the gold rush, Californian gold rush, the people who sold crowbars and spades made more money than the people who really discovered gold underground. Because gold was hard to come by, but everybody had to dig. And we were in that position of providing crowbars and shovels and nuts and bolts, and we made the money. That was how I would put it. They took whatever they thought of and made it a success. Yeah, you can't really make it a success. Sridhar often says, deserve success, don't demand it. Because जो कुछ हाथ में आता है हमारा वश में नहीं है. It comes because of 100 beautiful different pushes and pulls happening in the marketplace. But you can deserve it. Even your competitor should look at you when you have missed the game. Your competitor should look at you and say, hey, that person deserved it. How often we see in all these awards ceremonies, in Olympics, for example, where the gold medalist looks at the silver medalist, hugs him or her, and says, you actually deserve it. I know you did. You slipped and fell perhaps, but you deserved it. That is what we want to aim for. We want to deserve it. We are happy if we get it, but we want to sleep well at night, feeling that we have deserved that success. So,
And that's a powerful statement that look for how you deserve the success, not just that you desire or just demand the success. You
yes,
should deserve
deserving
the
is
success.
completely in your hands because it's very easy to say if you have done everything that you can possibly humanly can, you have deserved it.
That's
But end of the day, even if you got the gold medal and you look back and say, I could have done that also, I didn't do, you didn't deserve it.
true. True.
Yeah.
I'm sure, Mohan, you have got the answer of the question. Now, I quickly wanted to talk about that Zoho School of Learning. You're president of Zoho School of Learning. So, what was the mission and motivation behind this school?
We were a very small company and we weren't even called Zoho at that time. We were called Vembu Systems. Sridhar Vembu, his father's name was Vembu Iyer, and
Okay.
that's how he named it very creatively. And we weren't a sought after company looking for a job there. Today, Zoho is a sought after company, but that wasn't the case then. But we were building world beating software. We were at least building software that was competing directly with biggies like HP, and Google was just getting started then, and Microsoft and IBM. Those were the companies we were fighting with. So we had to get the best talent, but we were nowhere in the picture, not even in the radar for all these top university kids. And the kind of kids we attracted, the college students, they were coming with some paper knowledge, completely theoretical, with no real practical experience and exposure. And so there was a huge gap. That gap continues even today. You must have heard of this academia industry gap. It continues today.
Employable skill gap. People call
Yes,
it employable skill gap.
employability skill gap. So
Yeah.
27 years ago, it was staring us in our face. And around 2004, Sridhar said, hey, can we start a training institution right within the company? Let's get faculty from within the company. We don't bring them from outside colleges. Practitioners, people who write code in the morning should teach programming in the evening. People who do design should teach design. People who are running marketing campaigns should come and talk to us about Zoho's way of attracting new users into the fold. So when
Okay.
we start building that practicality in, we started giving contextual education, highly relevant, only what is relevant, and it was immersive, right, within the company, in the organization. Students learn more during lunchtime, during evening time, playing games, listening to the CEO during town halls and open houses. This evening, a town hall was happening. 16,000 employees could listen, ask him questions, get answers live via video, powered by Zoho's own software, Zoho Click. So this was the seed thought. Can we create something inside? Then we took a call. We will not go for accreditation, certification, because anyway, Zoho has been around for quite some time where we didn't look at certificates. And certificates seemed to be a veil behind which many not so great employees or applicants hid themselves,
Yeah.
right? They show the certificate to hide their true worth, which is not very good. So we said we will not give certificates, we will not go for accreditation. We took a bold call, we will not conduct exams, because in the real world, exam is not once a month or once in 3 months. It is every day. It is a
True.
constant evaluation. And we encouraged copying, because copying is what everybody does today. People collaborate. You bring your idea, I bring my idea. Together, we both go back saying we have two ideas. That is the
True.
beauty of ideas. If you bring a piece of cake and I take that piece of cake, you don't have that piece of cake with you anymore. That is the curse of atoms. But when it is an idea, you bring your idea, I bring my idea, they become an amazing third idea. We now have three ideas, each of us. So that is
True.
what we wanted to foster. And we said no attendance in this school. It is a 2 year program, 1 year in the classroom, immersive, contextual, relevant. Second year as an intern in the team. Students go into the teams, become interns, learn by doing. Focus is on practical exposure. We pay them fees. We do not take fees, we pay them a stipend, 10,000 rupees every month. So there is a good movement. We started with 5 students in the first year and 250 students this year. And it's been a great journey. My own son went through Zoho Schools. He's now a colleague at Zoho.
Oh, that's a interesting journey. And so, what's the eligibility criteria? Like after 12th, is it after 12th or?
Yes, www.zohoschools.com will give you all the details. 17 to 20 age group. The
Okay.
only condition is you shouldn't have a college degree.
You should
College
not have a
degree
college degree.
मना है. College degree मना है.
I think we have a similar question. Probably you have answered partially. Bhavna Mia is asking, how do you approach career growth and professional development for your tech team? I think you
Yes.
answered it partly, but do you want to extend it further?
Yes. The most important thing you need to give, look at it as a parenting question. How do you, I'll change the sentence. How do you approach growth and development for your children, for your child? How do you do that? You cannot feed them. You cannot force feed them. You cannot say, 6 baje se 7 baje tak ye padho. No. What you need to do is instill in them the quest, the joy of learning. You can do one more thing. You can join hands with them and learn together. Right? This is why I use the word intrinsic motivation. How do you foster intrinsic motivation? You need to create an environment, foster that quest for learning. I want to learn new things. Why? Because I like the feeling I get when I know things more than I knew yesterday. That is what we do in parenting.
True.
Why does a child pick up a book and not PUBG to play games and shoot people? Because this is instilled in that child. Otherwise, it will only do that for exam time. It will only do that when you are watching it. Now go to the world of professional team management. If you are going to be watching your team members and telling them you need to get this certification, you need to write that code like this, you need to deliver it by this team, by this date, you're making the same mistake of bad parenting. Instead, if you can show them the joy of collaboration, if you can give them free time, the greatest benefit, the greatest donation, gift you can give your team is free time to experiment in a playpen, to experiment in a sandbox. Chalo, jo kuch chahe kar lo. Bash around. You want to build robots? Zoho has nothing to do with robots today. Probably someday, but not today. But we have a robotics lab. We have a kit. Because who knows what idea is going to come out of that? And when we are able to allow you, see, again, this is not some amazing new idea. This 20% time, this Slack, concept of Slack has been around for quite some time, starting with 3M and Google and so many other companies. Encouraging free time, encouraging what do you call uh, unaccountable time. You don't need to account for this. Hang around, do what you please, collaborate with people, learn the art of collaboration. So, if you do that, you will be surprised of the number of beautiful ideas and the number of beautiful initiatives they come up with. I didn't institute any, but in my team, for example, we have a mobile development team. Weekly, they meet. Every 15 days, they demonstrate. Every month they have a meeting where they talk about the work that they have done. We have a fail conference. Where did you screw up badly? When did shit hit the fan? We proudly demonstrate. We display our medals of honor. Look at this. See how far I fell. So if we can encourage these, oh, growth, professional development, they will take care of it themselves. That's my philosophy.
And that's a very profound philosophy, I must say, because I'll give you an example that what you talked about are the fundamentals, and usually when we talk about the fundamentals, the other problems are taken care of. So I am into
Correct.
horse riding, and I was listening to somebody suggested a beautiful book, and when I was listening to that video, it talks about that. Imagine you are a horse and somebody is riding on you. Would it be a comfortable experience? Now, I've last 1 year I've never thought of horse riding from that perspective, that imagine you yourself as an horse. So that the way you rephrase that sentence, that how do you approach the growth and the development of your kids, I think that itself changes everything.
Yeah.
And I must say that we have talked a lot and you have so many inspiring story, Rajendran, but we are running out of the time. So any last message for the team members, that what they can do to grow further in their life? Anything, because this is our first podcast for 2024, so anything that, any positive thing from your side that they should start this year with?
So, the biggest bit about staying young is about exposing yourself to new things. A phrase keeps ringing in the back of my mind. It goes something like this: when was the last time you did something for the first time? Roll it around in your mind. When was the last time, most recent time, that you did something for the first time? As an individual, as a family, as a group of people, a team, as a company. If you've been doing the same things over and over again, almost to the extent of it becoming monotonous, robotic, repetitive, dull, boring, I don't think we deserve to exist, leave alone succeed. So ask this question of yourself: when was the last time you did something for the first time? As a team, as an employee, as a CEO, as a manager, as an individual, as a family. पहली बार मैं ये कर रहा हूं, वैसा आपको कब लगा आखिरी बार? That's the question. Think about it. Thank you.
Yeah. When was the last time you did something for the first time? That itself is an amazing statement. And I've been showing the TEDx talk done by Rajendran in the link below. So I'm will recommend everyone to just go through that link. If you search his name on the TEDx, you will find that link of the TEDx talk. So you can listen more of him. And thanks, Rajendran. Thanks again for being on VectoScalar Tech Talk show. And thanks to the audience. Thank you very much for always being such a heartwarming audience for the show. Keep watching, keep growing, keep looking further. With that, bye bye. Have a nice day ahead.
Thank you.